If you want your country prosper, go plant more nutmeg and banana.
Hi there, I am Mike Dwell. Welcome to the Nutmeg Tree. On our last program, we presented Butchgrove Nutmeg Farmer, as well as Director on the Nutmeg Board, Dr. Francis Antoine, speaking about the liberalization of the GCNA, among other issues. Today, we move to another issue: how joint extension service between GCNA and the Cocoa Association is benefiting these organizations with Joseph Mathew.
Brother Joseph, since we spoke, remember we had a very nice program with you the last time. Since we spoke about the joint extension service activity, tell us, since after that, what is going on?
After our last session, the farmers, we had area meetings for the nutmeg farmers, which went well. There are 6 area meetings, and the farmers are due to have the general meeting this Thursday at St. George's. Added to that too would be whatever surplus that the association is able to pay. So farmers are in high spirit within this little money. Also too, we have been providing services to farmers throughout the length and breadth of the country. So the 4 of us as extension officers, along with trainees, are in the field giving hope to farmers. As we speak here at Carlton this morning, farmers are selling the cocoa, which is a better buy than the previous buy we had. So as we speak now, we receive a fair amount of cocoa both at Carlton and Upper St. John, and the field indication shows that the next buy, which would be on the 22nd and 23rd respectively in all the places, would be a bigger buyer in terms of cocoa. Also too, farmers are harvesting whatever nutmegs that are available, and they should do that so that they would minimize the risk of pre-larceny, because your nutmeg is yours, and when you don't pick it up, somebody else pick it up and they get the benefit and you are the ones giving the labor.
Well, Brother Matthias, you've been making some very valid points. And remember, we are talking about joint extension. The cocoa and the nutmeg extension officers are working together in order to service the farmers. I think you made a point, your impression about the whole activity.
It's good that both cocoa and nutmeg could marry the services, because as Mr. Haynes would have alluded at the last program, the cocoa farmer is a nutmeg farmer in most instances. So it means that the farmer is saving time, as we said. When one officer comes, he is able to deal with the crops that he handles. So the farmer gets time to do more of his farming or his agronomic practices, while the officer has time now to handle other farmers who are in need, or dire need, I should say, of technology, of the services that we render on a day-to-day basis. We are available, and that each officer is able to see as much farmers as is able within a given period, the month, the day, or as time permits, or the farmers who called. Because it's important too that extension, whereas you visit, farmers should call and say, well, look, I need that service, because it goes both ways. You won't be able to see every farmer. So a farmer would go to a meeting and say, I'm not seeing extension. But if a farmer is sick, he calls the doctor or he goes to the doctor. So if a farmer is looking for service, he calls and say, this is my name, I would need to say an extension officer. And you're not reporting the extension officer to my mind, you are letting us know that you're interested in what is available.
So tell me, you and Mr. Haynes work together. You all go to the same farm at the same time?
No, Mr. Haynes is at St. Andrews. Mr. Wayne James is at St. Mark's and St. John's. Mr. Futo is at St. George's and St. David's. And I am at St. Patrick's. So each of those areas, there is an officer competent enough to deal with whatever the problems that may arise. So it's a technical team of us who provide that services to the farmers in those areas. We may interlap at boundaries. So let's say if I'm at Samaritan, Union, it's not difficult for me to see a farmer in Digo Peace because although it's Mr. Wayne James' area, and vice versa, if Mr. James is in the area in Digo Peace, he would speak to a farmer. If the farmer comes that morning, you don't send back the farmer, and he would say, well, look, I see this farmer, and this is what I said, you need to follow.
How the farmer is responding to you?
Good. Farmers are responding in town because from one of the positive two of the system, the joint extension system, we're able to advise farmers in terms of the availability of nutmeg plants that we still have, so that we are pushing that. So every farmer who wants or need nutmeg plants, they should call GCNA and give your name, give a telephone number. They would be able to pass this information, or if you're not getting GCNA, you call Cocoa Association. GCNA number, I should say, is 440 2117, and GCA number is 4402933. So anyway, this information would get to the extension officers, and we would be willing to let you have those plans even before Christmas.
So right now, if I want some plants, I can get?
Sure, I can give you the okay to get this plant soon as we finish this program.
What's the cost of a plant?
A plant is $1. And just to say, there are nutmeg plants available at Maribor, St. Andrews, Boulogne, St. Andrews, Maran in St. John, and Ashenden in St. David's. So wherever you live, it's easy for you to get those plants. You just have to give us indication. And if you've been waiting for nutmeg plants for a long time and you didn't get, now is the right time for you to come forward. And because the rains are still falling and there's a lot of moisture now in the soil to take up those plants.
A guy was saying that why sell the plants? Why don't you give the plants free to the farmers?
You know, Brother Mike, that it costs much more than $1 to procure or to have a plant prepared. And that is why the Minister of Agriculture was saying that let the farmer pay the real price for the plant up front, and when he takes care of it later, the farmer might be able to get back something for it. Because you see, because of the cheapness of the plants, and listen my word, cheapness, some farmers take it, they don't plant it, some farmers don't care about it. It's an bush. But I want farmers to know that the dollar is just a minimal token for what it really costs to prepare both a cocoa, nutmeg, or any of the plants that government sells.
Do you have a lot of farmers now are not planting the plants that you are giving them?
No. To say farmers are not planting, you would get an odd farmer who complaints would come in that a farmer has plants and not planted. I have not seen that. And then farmers would tell you this because they never get plants and they didn't get, or farmers sometimes don't apply for plants in time. So when they see you, Mike, pass with some plants in your van, then they get excited. Oh, Mike is planting. Oh, Mike get plants and I didn't get. But if a farmer would call the respective extension places and say, well, look, I need X amount of plants, then this would be on the officer's schedule. So he knows that as soon as plants are available, once you're ready, he's able to give you these plants.
Brother Matthias, I want you to stress very much the importance of quality. Why quality is so important in terms of the cocoa and the nutmeg?
Well, quality is what gives you your base, I would say. If you don't have a quality, you don't have a foundation. So, in other words, we cannot sell bad cocoa or defective nutmeg to any of the buyers. As a matter of fact, these days, there are mechanism to test to see what is in cocoa, what is in nutmeg. And remember, there are other producers out there too who are competing on the international market. So our quality here has to be good. We have to do it right. So in other words, if you dry cocoa ungalvanized, from the time you take it to the station, the manager there would be able to tell you, well, look, you didn't ferment that cocoa well based on the color, or you dry this cocoa ungalvanized. Or if you take nutmeg to the receiving station, the people who grading the nutmeg would see that this nutmeg wasn't well formed, or you pick the nutmeg green, or if you rub the nutmeg in mud to give it the color. You understand? So in and between you have the odd showing up, but quality, Brother Mike, is what is going to take us. Yes, we have good quality cocoa. Yes, we have good quality nutmeg. And I have been I have been to some fields where the size of the nutmeg amazes me. Our real Grenada nutmeg. For instance, just after Ivan, we were pushing the Malaysian nutmeg. The Malaysian nutmeg. What is going to happen? You're going to have a nutmeg here that is pure, that is Malaysian. So thank God we have come back, with Brother O'Neill and the others, that we are concentrating on our own local nutmeg, because our own local nutmeg is what we had for years. And when you take a next man thing and you try to develop it, then what problems they have or whatever the strain, that is what. So you don't have your own to compete on the market. So quality is good, and what we have to is the best.
There was a point that the guy was making, that you should not allow nutmegs to fall on the naked ground because it can get contaminated, especially animal feces. And what is your take on that?
Well, yes, it can cause contamination it also comes back to that the animal should not be tying under the nutmeg tree or under, so in other words, this agricultural practice has to be well managed in terms of the husbandry, Mike. So in other words, you want to have goats and you want to have sheep and you want to have cattle, you need to have a special place where you pull them, pen them, or whatever. So in other words, remember, you're dealing with a commodity that is food, what we use in food. And because of this, you have to follow what is, I think, the HACCP regulations as to, and these days they are strict on them. I was privileged through cocoa to have training in terms of the HACCP. And my dear friend, if the farmers they are not ready in terms of HACCP, we could have the best nutmeg, but we were not going to get it sold.
I want you to tell me about drains. How important is drains in the land?
For now, you see the level of rains that we are getting. I mean, the fields that I go to, Mike, it's not easy to get in and get out in terms, even if you have water boats. So it means that farmers have to organize their drains well, clean open drains where you don't have drains, clean drains where your drains are blocked, ensure where you're directing or throwing your water. And why am I saying all this? For cocoa, with all these rains, the pods would burn. And that is why buying a schedule, as I said earlier on, every 2 weeks to ensure that the farmer could save some of the pot. I don't know, to be honest, Mike, if these heavy rains would have effect on nutmeg. So maybe at a later program, we would have to see the effect. But I know with every tree, excessive water can cause some kind of problem.
It would affect the maize because when the nutmeg fall on the ground and the maize get wet, it could affect the maize. And you know, maize is a very important part of nutmeg. You're getting more money for maize than nutmeg.
Yeah. Yes, I would think that it would affect the maize. But maybe at a next program, Mike, we could pull in Brother Haynes too, or put in where we could look at the effects of drains within the nutmeg and how we could advise farmers in terms of saving their maize in town. But what I do know too, Mike, most farmers tend to pick or have it or rot their nutmeg. I don't sure if it's a good practice, but this I would have to raise again with Mr. Haynes, who is, you know, the nutmeg expert at the moment.
That was Joseph Mathew of the Grenada Cocoa Association, and I am Mike Noel reporting.
If you want your country prosper, oh, plant more